when you're running for re-election, um, and basically you got to have a plan in place, and you gotta explain to your base why you think you want 4 more years. So far, 45, or Cheeto or Trump, whatever you want to fucking call the piece of shit, um, basically has struggled to outline any plan for a second term. Um, um, the fake President Donald Trump is adamant that he wants another 4 years in office. It's less clear what he would do with them if he got it. Um, the fake president repeatedly assailed the Democratic rival Joe Biden during a rambling, hour-long Rose Garden news conference Tuesday that doubled as a re-election Klan rally, but he offered few clues about what he would do if he remained in the White House. He similarly stammered through an interview last month when pressed by a friendly TV host to talk about what a second term would look like. With the election less than 4 months away, Trump's focus has been more on whining than on how he would govern. He's offered no substantive policy proposal, often instead of a heated rhetoric on race, crime, and socialism aimed at his most loyal and bred supporters. Biden, meanwhile, is releasing a growing number of proposals touching on topics including trade and climate change. Trump is reshaping his campaign, announcing Wednesday that veteran GOP operative Bill Stepien will replace Brad Parscale as campaign manager, but it's unlikely the move will change Trump's preference to focus more on messaging rather than a policy agenda. Some Republicans have said that this reflects the challenge of asking voters for another term amid the overlapping public health and economic crises. During a re-election campaign, you basically are making the argument that the status quo is really good and that the challenger is insufficient to do the job. And for more than 3 years, he could credibly make that argument about the economy, said Mike Duhame, senior advisor to former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie's during Chris Christie's 2016 presidential campaign. The problem comes when the status quo isn't good, and there is hard data both on the economy and with COVID-19 that shows this. Duhame had said, referring to the coronavirus, that makes it much harder to make an argument about the next 4 years. Still, the question is of what to do with the 4 years in the White House is one of the most basic elements of any presidential campaign, even for an incumbent. Trump's challenge became apparent late last month when he struggled to answer the question during an interview with Sean Hannity of Faux News. You know the story, riding down Pennsylvania Avenue with the first slut, and I say, "This is great," but I didn't know very many people in Washington. It wasn't my thing. I was from Manhattan. Trump had said as part of his answer, which wasn't really so he was going off on a tangent before eventually calling John Bolton, his former national security advisor, an idiot. Yeah, we know 45 is a fucking idiot, so it's like, that's understandable. Trump didn't name a single policy objective in the days that followed. The messaging from the White House seemed to rely solely on So basically, it seemed to rely solely on the idea that because Trump presided over a strong economy once, that he'd be the right person to build it back. No, but it has yet to put forth much of a positive agenda. Instead, focus on painting a dystopic picture of the nation if Biden came to power. There has never been an election where we've had this kind of difference between the candidates, Trump said, before painting a bleak, crime-filled portrait of the Democrats' governing philosophy. It's radical left and it will destroy our country. Well, technically, it took you 3.5 years to destroy ours. His Rose Garden address on Tuesday haphazardly bounced from topic to topic, from China to statues to Biden and back again, resembling not an official government event, but rather a facsimile of the campaign speech the president had wanted to give 3 nights earlier at a New Hampshire Klan rally that was called off because of sparse crowds and a somewhat ominous weather forecast. It was a display of Trump in full, an equal mix of braggadocio, grievance, and vicious partisan politics, but what was missing were any specific plans to right the country's economy or improve the fortunes of its citizens. There's no agenda because he himself is the agenda, said the presidential historian John Meacham in 2016. Trump was a vehicle now amid a cataclysmic pandemic that he has failed to manage. Fewer people outside the core base want to hear anything other than how do we get safely back to real life, because he has no answer to that overachieving question. He just talks about inevitably himself as fucking always. There have been presidential candidates in the past tripped up by the question, why do you want to be president, including, perhaps most notably, Ted Kennedy ahead of the 1980 election, but it is rare for an incumbent to have so little detail as to why he should be able to keep his job. When asked for the president's second-term agenda, the White House pointed to Trump's response to the COVID-19, but offered little in the way of specifics. Um, and this guy is full of shit because we know that's what this guy is. As the president continues to lead a whole of government response to a global pandemic, restore law and order to our communities, and rebuild the economy, said spokesperson Judd Deere, the White House is engaged in an ongoing policy process for a bold second-term agenda that continues to transition to greatness, that ensures we are safe, stronger, and more prosperous. Um, the White House officials also pointed to promises of a better trade deals and maintaining law and order, but the lack of details gave Biden's team an opening. This president's inaction to get the virus under control has cost thousands of lives and millions of fucking jobs. Why should voters continue to let him lead during this once in a generation crisis? Said Biden national spokesperson T.J. Ducklo. Don't ask Trump. He doesn't have a fucking answer because he doesn't.